Lost under the burning sky, the desert didn't feel like a place on a map. It felt like a living thing, breathing heat, swallowing sound, hiding bones under sand the way a river hides stones. AMARA Richard kept walking anyway. Her boots were torn at the heel. Eliza Vale's lips had cracked, and Nora Quinn had stopped talking an hour ago, saving her breath like it was money. Above them, the sun hung like a cruel coin, bright, hard, and too high to bargain with. They had started at dawn, chasing a rumor that the abandoned stage stop called Sable Junction still had a water barrel buried behind the collapsed stable. Rumors were cheap in the West. Hope was cheaper. But thirst was the most expensive thing a person could buy. AMARA glanced back at the line of their footprints, already being erased by wind. "Don't look behind," she said, voice steady even when her hands weren't. "It'll make you think we're not moving." Eliza tried to smile. It came out like a wince. "Maybe we're not." Nora lifted her head slowly, eyes narrowed at the horizon. "That's not the worst part." AMARA followed Nora's gaze. Far away, a smear of movement, dark against bright, shifted along a ridge. Too smooth to be a rock, too steady to be a mirage. A rider, then another, and another. 3 silhouettes, each with a horse's neck rising and falling like a wave. Eliza's voice turned thin. "Are they following?" AMARA didn't answer right away. She listened. The desert had a way of carrying certain sounds, metal clicking, leather creaking, distant hooves, like it wanted you to know what was coming but wouldn't let you do anything about it. "Yes," AMARA finally said. "They are." They pushed forward faster. The sand fought every step. Their canteens were nearly empty. Each girl had only a swallow left, and that swallow felt like a lie. A dry wind cut across them, carrying dust and something else, smoke maybe, or the memory of smoke. Nora stumbled, caught herself, then stumbled again. AMARA reached out and held her elbow. "We can't stop," AMARA said. Nora's eyes rolled. I know." Eliza, walking ahead, suddenly stopped. AMARA nearly ran into her. "What?" Eliza pointed. "There." A half-buried wooden post stuck out of the sand, leaning like a tired man. Behind it, more posts, broken fence rails, and the outline of a small structure collapsed into itself. Sable Junction, or what was left of it. AMARA's heart kicked. There might be water. They rushed toward the ruins. The closer they got, the worse it looked. Roof caved in, boards split by sun and time, and the stable nothing but a shadow of beams. Nora dropped to her knees beside a warped plank. The barrel, it was supposed to be here. AMARA started pulling boards away, fingers scraping, nails splitting. Eliza joined. The wood was hot enough to burn. They uncovered a shallow pit, and in it, glass. A broken bottle, sun-bleached. No barrel, no water. Eliza let out a noise like a laugh that had been stabbed. "Of course." Nora swayed, then toppled sideways. AMARA caught her shoulders, held her up. "Hey," AMARA whispered, forcing calm into her voice. "Stay with me." Nora's eyes were unfocused. I can't feel my hands." AMARA pressed her forehead to Nora's temple. Nora's skin was too hot, heat sickness. Eliza stood, turning in a slow circle. Her gaze snagged on the ridge behind them. The riders were closer now, close enough to see the glint of metal. Eliza's voice cracked. "AMARA." AMARA looked. The riders had split, one coming straight, the other two fanning wide like wolves. AMARA's mind moved fast. No bullets, no real weapons, just a small knife, a broken fence spike she could hold like a dagger, and the desert. "We hide," AMARA said, "inside." Now, Eliza helped drag Nora toward the collapsed structure. They squeezed through a gap in the boards, crawling into shade that smelled of old dust and mouse nests. Outside, the hooves came closer, then stopped. Silence. AMARA held her breath. A voice drifted in, lazy and amused. "Well now, ain't this a lucky find?" Another voice, rougher, 3 of them like the stories. A third voice spat, "Don't talk, just take." A boot scraped wood. A shadow crossed the gap. AMARA tightened her grip on the fence spike. Then Nora made a small sound, barely a whimper. The shadow paused. "Did you hear that?" the first voice asked. AMARA pressed a hand over Nora's mouth, but Nora's body shuddered. Her eyes rolled again. Eliza's face went pale with helpless terror. The boot stepped closer. A hand shoved at the boards, light-knifed into the ruin. AMARA launched forward, swinging the spike. It caught the man's hand. He yelped and jerked back. Blood didn't gush. It just beaded, dark and angry. "Snake," he snarled. The board gap widened as he yanked harder, ripping wood loose. AMARA backed up, placing herself between them and the opening. Eliza held Nora up, trembling. Outside, the leader chuckled. "She's got teeth." The opening tore wide enough for a face. A man with sun-browned skin, a cruel grin, and eyes like dry stones. He wore a hat with a crow feather pinned to the band. "Name's Sealer's Crow," he said, like he was introducing himself at a dance. "And you girls look like you wandered into the wrong chapter." AMARA's voice came out low. "We don't want trouble." Sealers tipped his hat slightly. "Then you shouldn't have been born in a place that feeds on it." Behind Sealers, the other two men circled, checking the ruin like they owned the sand. Eliza whispered, barely audible, "AMARA, Nora's." Nora suddenly went limp. AMARA's chest seized. "Nora," Sealers's eyes brightened. "Oh, she's tired, we can carry her." AMARA stepped forward, spike raised. "Stay back." Sealers didn't flinch. He simply lifted his revolver, not aiming yet, just showing he could. "I ain't here to shoot you," he said. "That would be wasteful. I'm here to collect." "Collect what?" AMARA demanded. Sealers's smile widened. "People." The word landed heavy. Eliza's breath hitched. "Please, we'll do anything, just—" Sealers raised a hand. "I like polite girls." AMARA's mind raced. If she attacked, he'd shoot. If she didn't, they'd be taken anyway. The only real advantage she had was unpredictability. She glanced at the broken beams above. A rope, old, frayed, hung from a beam, probably once used to hoist supplies. A terrible idea formed. AMARA lowered the spike slightly, pretending surrender. "Okay," she said, voice shaky on purpose. "Just let her rest. She's sick." Sealers nodded, as if he cared. "We'll give her all the rest she needs." He stepped in. AMARA moved fast. She grabbed the hanging rope and yanked hard. The beam creaked, and a bundle of rotten boards and sand spilled down like a collapsing shelf. It didn't crush anyone, but it exploded dust into Sealers's face. Sealers coughed, swearing. AMARA seized Eliza's wrist. "Run!" Eliza nearly dropped Nora. "I can't. We leave her, we all die," AMARA said harshly, then instantly hated herself for it. Eliza's eyes filled with tears. No, outside, Buck and Hank were already moving. AMARA shoved Eliza toward the opening. "Go." Eliza dragged Nora by the shoulders, but Nora's head lolled, and her legs didn't cooperate. Sealers recovered, wiping dust from his eyes. His voice turned cold. "Enough games." He grabbed Nora's arm and yanked her out. Nora gave a weak cry, then went still again. Eliza screamed. "No." Buck grabbed Eliza too, hauling her backward. AMARA lunged, trying to pull Eliza free. Then the barrel of Sealers's revolver pressed to AMARA's forehead. Everything inside AMARA went quiet. Sealers smiled with no warmth. "You got spirit," AMARA rinchered. AMARA froze. "How do you know my name?" Sealers leaned closer. "Because the desert tells stories, and yours is expensive." He jerked his chin. "Tie them." Buck and Hank moved fast, looping rope around wrists. Eliza sobbed. AMARA fought, but Sealers's men were practiced. This wasn't their first capture. Nora lay half-conscious, dragged like cargo. AMARA's wrists burned as the rope tightened. Sealers mounted his horse, looking down at them like he'd won a prize. "We ride," he said. "Night's coming." Eliza pleaded through tears. "Please, she's dying." Sealers shrugged. "Then she won't complain." And they pulled the girls across the sand toward the empty horizon. Behind them, Sable Junction vanished into dust like a memory. AMARA looked up once, searching the ridge. No help, no town, only the fading sun and the sound of hooves. Cliffhanger. As darkness began to fall, Nora's breathing turned shallow, and far behind the hunters, a lone figure on horseback appeared, moving silently. like a shadow with purpose. Night in the desert didn't cool gently, it dropped like a curtain. The stars came out sharp, bright enough to feel like they were watching. Sealer's Crow's camp wasn't a camp the way decent people made camp. No laughter, no stew pot, no soft talk. Just a small fire, a few bedrolls, and the kind of quiet that meant everyone was listening for fear. Eliza and AMARA were tied to a thick wooden frame, 2 posts and a beam, half buried in sand like it had been waiting there for them. The ropes dug into their wrists, forcing their arms upward, not enough to dislocate, but enough to ache. Nora lay on the sand near the fire, her face pale in moonlight. She wasn't tied, she didn't have the strength to run. AMARA's throat tightened every time Nora's chest rose. It rose slower now. Eliza whispered, voice trembling, "She's not going to make it." AMARA forced herself to stay steady. "Don't say that." Eliza's eyes were wild. "AMARA, I can't watch her die." AMARA swallowed, tasting dust. "Then don't watch, look at me." Eliza tried, her lips shook. "What are they going to do to us?" AMARA didn't answer right away because the truth felt like poison. Sealers sat near the fire, sharpening a knife, not for cutting ropes, for showing control. Buck leaned against a saddle, chewing something. Hank checked a coil of rope, testing knots like a man inspecting tools. Sealers finally spoke. "You girls ever see a coyote trap?" No answer. Sealers smiled. "They don't die quick. Not usually. They fight, they twist. Sometimes they chew their own leg off. That's survival right there." AMARA stared at him. "You're sick." Sealers shrugged. "I'm practical." He stood and walked toward Nora. Eliza made a strangled sound. "Don't touch her." Sealers crouched, 2 fingers checking Nora's pulse. He clicked his tongue like a disappointed merchant. "Bad goods," he murmured. AMARA's heart slammed. "She needs water." Sealers looked up at AMARA, eyes shining in firelight. "She needed water hours ago." Eliza began to cry quietly, shoulders shaking. Sealers rose, dusting his hands. "I ain't cruel for no reason, but I also don't carry what can't travel." AMARA fought her ropes, fury surging. "If you leave her," Sealers's voice snapped like a whip. "She's already leaving." He nodded to Hank. "Do it." Hank stepped toward Nora, rope in hand. Eliza screamed. "No, please." AMARA pulled until the rope bit skin. "Stop." Hank didn't look at them. He simply looped rope around Nora's wrists. Nora's eyes fluttered open. She looked at AMARA with a faint, confused fear. AMARA's voice broke. "Nora, I'm here." Nora tried to speak. Only air came out. Sealers watched the scene the way a man watches weather. "Hang her with the others," he said. "If she's going to die, she'll die where it teaches a lesson." Eliza sobbed, begging, "Please, sir, please." Sealers tilted his head. "Begging is good. It means you understand who holds the sky." They dragged Nora to a second frame nearby. The beam overhead had 2 ropes already tied, nooses, not for necks, but for ankles. A cruel, practiced method. Invert a person, make them helpless, make the blood rush, make panic do the work. AMARA's breath stopped. "No, don't." Hank and Buck lifted Nora's legs, slipping loops around her ankles. Nora was too weak to fight, too weak to scream. They hoisted her slowly. Nora hung upside down, hair falling like a dark spill, arms dangling towards sand. Her chest struggled, then stalled, then struggled again. Eliza wailed. "Nora." AMARA's vision blurred. Rage and helplessness mixed into something sharp. Sealers walked to AMARA and Eliza's frame. "You see, you can survive a lot, girls. But the desert is honest. It takes what's finished." He signaled again. "Now these 2. Buck and Hank moved toward AMARA and Eliza, loosening their ropes from the beam and forcing them to stumble. They half-carried, half-dragged them toward the second frame. Eliza kicked weakly. "No, please." Buck backhanded her, not hard enough to kill, but enough to silence. AMARA's stomach turned. "Touch her again and I swear." Sealers laughed. "You'll do what, bite me?" AMARA spit dust at his boots. Sealers's smile vanished for a second. He grabbed AMARA by the chin. "I like you," he said softly, "but don't confuse that with mercy." He shoved her forward. Hank looped rope around AMARA's ankles. AMARA fought. She kicked, caught Hank's shin. Hank cursed, yanked her harder. Eliza was next, rope around ankles, the loops tightening. Nora's body twitched weakly above them, a shadow barely moving. AMARA's heart cracked. Nora, hold on, Sealers raised a hand. Up, the ropes pulled. AMARA's world flipped. Blood rushed to her head. The stars spun. Sand seemed too close, too hungry. Eliza screamed as she inverted, voice thin with terror. AMARA clenched her core, trying to steady herself. Her wrists weren't tied now, only her ankles. Her arms dangled free, fingertips brushing air above sand. If she could reach a stone, a sharp edge, anything, Sealers circled beneath them like a man inspecting hanging lanterns. "You'll talk," he said, calm, "or you'll break. Either way, I get what I want." AMARA gasped, fighting dizziness. "What do you want?" Sealers looked up at her, firelight flickering. "There's a stash out here. Gold, old railroad money. Folks died for it. Folks killed for it." AMARA's throat tightened. "We don't know anything." Sealers smiled. "You will." He stepped back, nodding to Buck. "Ride a circle. Make sure nobody's sniffing around." Buck mounted, trotting off into the dark. The camp settled into a slow, cruel rhythm. Fire crackling, rope creaking, women breathing too fast. Minutes dragged. Then a sound. Not hooves rushing. Not a man shouting. A single, deliberate click of metal, like a rifle being cocked far away. Hank froze. Sealers's head turned slightly. The darkness beyond the fire shifted. A voice came out of the night, deep and calm. "Let him down." Sealers straightened, eyes narrowing. "Who's asking?" The firelight caught the outline of a horse stepping into view, black coat, steady stance. On its back sat a man in a worn coat, hat low, face half-shadowed. He carried himself like he didn't need to prove anything. Cold heart. Sealers's lips curled. "This ain't your business, stranger." Cole's voice didn't rise. "Everything ugly becomes somebody's business eventually." Hank lifted his rifle. "Move along." Cole lifted his own rifle slightly, not pointing, just present. "You don't want to shoot first." Sealers chuckled. "You alone?" Cole glanced at the hanging girls. AMARA's vision swam, but she forced her eyes open. She met Cole's gaze for half a second. Something passed between them, not romance, recognition of danger, recognition of choice. Cole said, "I'm enough." Sealers sighed like he was bored. "Kill him." Hank raised his rifle. Cole fired. The shot cracked like thunder. Hank's rifle flew from his hands as his arm jerked, hit clean, not fatal, but disabling. Hank screamed. Buck's horse whinnied somewhere in the distance. Sealers moved fast, drawing his revolver. Cole slid off his horse, using the fire's glare as cover, moving sideways like a shadow that knew the dance. AMARA's head pounded. She swung her body, trying to build momentum, trying to reach anything. Eliza cried, "Please. Help us." Cole fired again, this time at the rope above Eliza. The rope snapped. Eliza fell, hard into sand, coughing, scrambling. Cole immediately fired at AMARA's rope. It snapped too. AMARA dropped, landing shoulder first, pain shooting through her arm. She rolled, grabbed sand, forced herself up. Sealers roared. "Get him." Sealers fired at Cole. Cole ducked behind a saddle, bullet kicking sand. AMARA crawled toward a fallen rock, sharp enough. Nora, AMARA's eyes snapped upward. Nora still hung upside down, barely moving. AMARA's chest tightened. She ran toward Nora's rope. Sealers saw her and fired. The bullet struck the wooden post near AMARA's head, splintering it. AMARA flinched but didn't stop. Cole shouted, "AMARA, down." AMARA dropped, then lunged again, reaching for the rope. Eliza stumbled beside her, shaking, but helping, hands clawing at the knot. Cole and Sealers traded shots around the fire. Buck returned, galloping into camp, firing wildly. Cole spun, fired once, Buck's hat flew off, and Buck cursed, jerking his horse back. AMARA's fingers worked the knot, tight, swollen with tension. Nora's face was pale as moonlight, lips parted. AMARA whispered, "Hold on, just hold on." The knot loosened, and then Sealers stepped closer, revolver aimed at AMARA's head. His voice was low and deadly. Stop touching my property. AMARA froze. Cole's rifle lifted. Buck's gun lifted. Eliza gasped. For one terrifying second, all guns pointed, all breaths held. Sealers smiled. Now we see who dies first. Cliffhanger. Sealers' finger tightened on the trigger, and a second shadow moved behind him in the dark, silent as sand. The desert teaches one lesson better than any preacher. Sometimes survival is a gun. Sometimes it's a decision. Sealers Crow's revolver stayed, aimed at AMARA's forehead. AMARA could smell the gun oil, could hear her own pulse. Eliza stood behind AMARA, shaking, hands still on Nora's rope. Cole Hart's rifle was aimed at Sealers' chest. His voice was calm but tight. Put it down, Crow. Sealers' eyes flicked. So you know me. Cole's jaw hardened. Everybody knows you're kind. Buck, a few steps away, aimed at Cole. His horse snorted, stamping. Sealers smiled slightly. If you shoot me, Buck shoots you. If Buck shoots you, I shoot her. He nodded at AMARA. The standoff sat in the air like a hanging storm. Then, that second shadow behind Sealers moved again. A small stone sailed through the air and hit Sealers' wrist. Not hard, just enough to surprise. Sealers flinched. His gun dipped for half a heartbeat. Cole fired. The shot wasn't fatal. Cole didn't aim for the head. He aimed for the shoulder. Sealers' revolver spun out of his hand as he staggered back, snarling in pain. Buck shouted and fired at Cole. Cole rolled, the bullet tearing through Cole's coat but missing flesh. Eliza screamed. AMARA surged forward, tackling the rope knot again. Her hands shook, but she forced the loosened knot open. Nora dropped into AMARA's arms like a broken bird. AMARA set her down gently, checking her breathing. Nora's eyes fluttered open for a moment. Her lips moved, no sound. AMARA's throat tightened. No, no, stay with me, Cole shouted. Get behind the post. AMARA dragged Nora, Eliza helping, pulling Nora behind the thick wooden frame for cover. Sealers grabbed his wounded shoulder, eyes blazing. You should have killed me, Hart. Cole stepped forward, rifle steady. I'm not like you. Sealers laughed, coughing. That's why you lose. Buck fired again. Cole fired back, this time hitting Buck's saddle strap. Buck jolted, losing balance. His horse reared, and Buck tumbled into sand with a curse. Sealers reached for a hidden knife at his belt and charged Cole, fast despite the wound. Cole swung his rifle like a club, blocking. Metal hit bone, painful, brutal, but still not gory. Two men in the firelight, fighting like the desert itself, quick, savage, honest. AMARA looked around for anything to help. A fallen rifle near Hank's bedroll. Hank lay groaning, clutching his injured arm, trying to crawl for it. AMARA grabbed the rifle first, hands trembling. She had never shot anyone, but she knew what would happen if she didn't act. Eliza whispered, AMARA, don't. AMARA swallowed. I don't want to. Sealers slammed Cole into a post, trying to drive the knife forward. Cole caught Sealers' wrist, grunting. Sealers' eyes flicked toward AMARA. He saw the rifle. He smiled anyway, like he didn't believe she would. AMARA aimed low, not at Sealers' heart, not at his head, at his leg. Her finger tightened, the rifle cracked. Sealers screamed, collapsing to one knee, the knife falling. Cole stepped back, breathing hard, and kicked the knife away. For a second, the desert was silent again, only fire popping, horses shifting, and Nora's faint, shallow breath. Cole pointed his rifle at Sealers. It's over, Sealers spat into sand. You think this ends me? Cole's eyes were cold. No, I think it ends tonight. Buck, scrambling, tried to reach his revolver. Eliza saw it and grabbed a burning stick from the fire, thrusting it toward Buck like a warning. Buck froze, fear flashing across his face. Hank, clutching his arm, whispered, Sealers, we gotta go. Sealers looked at AMARA, real hate now, not playful cruelty. You'll regret this. AMARA's voice shook but stayed steady. I already regretted it the moment I met you. Cole turned to the girls. Can you ride? Eliza nodded quickly, tears still on her cheeks. Yes. AMARA looked down at Nora. Nora's eyes fluttered open again. She tried to breathe, tried to speak. AMARA whispered, We are leaving, you're going to be okay. But the desert doesn't always accept promises. Nora's hand, weak, found Amara's wrist. She squeezed once barely. Amara's eyes burned. No, please. Nora's gaze drifted toward the stars. Her breath slowed, and then stopped. Eliza made a sound like her heart breaking. Amara froze, holding Nora's hand as if holding it could pull her back. Cole's voice softened, urgent. Amara, we have to move. Amara's face hardened into something new, grief turned to iron. She looked at Silas again. Silas watched, smiling through pain. See, desert takes what it wants. Amara stood slowly. She didn't shoot him again. She didn't torture him. She did something colder. She took Silas's revolver from the sand, checked the cylinder, then tossed it far into darkness where it disappeared. Silas's smile faltered. What? Amara leaned close, voice low. Now you're just a man in the desert. Cole's eyes flicked to her, a hint of respect. Amara helped Eliza lift Nora's body gently onto a horse. They didn't leave her in the sand like a thing. They treated her like a person. Cole tied the saddle straps quickly, efficient, experienced. Buck and Hank backed away, dragging Silas between them. Silas hissed, "This ain't finished," Cole answered. "It never is. But you won't finish it tonight." Cole guided the girls onto the horses. Amara looked once more at the fire, at the ropes still hanging from the beam. Then she turned away. They rode into the dark, stars above, wind behind, carrying grief, carrying survival, carrying a new kind of vow. Eliza whispered, voice raw, "Who are you really?" Cole didn't answer at first. Then he said, "A man who owes a debt. And Crow's name has been on my list a long time." Amara's eyes narrowed. "Why?" Cole glanced at her. "Because he didn't start with you, and he won't stop unless someone stops him." Amara stared ahead into the black horizon, jaw tight. "Then we stop him," she said. Cole nodded once. "Then we stop him." And somewhere behind them, in the far dark, Silas Crow's curse dissolved into wind. This bleeding but unbreakable soul deserves your support. Hit the subscribe button, like the video, and stay with us for more intense Wild West survival stories.